All righty, welcome back to the RDN Roller Show. We got a TORHS recap. We have a new pro champion of TORHS 2024. A rematch, you could say, of the last championship in 2023. But before we get into it, this podcast is sponsored by Better Days Company, Long Island. Better Days Company is a brand dedicated to premium quality roller hockey and golf lifestyle wear. Started in 2023 by brain cancer survivor Dom Strubel from Long Island, Better Days is built around the idea of positivity, resiliency in the face of adversity, representative of Dom's story battling cancer, and his road back to the sport we all love, roller hockey. A portion of Better Days sales are donated to the Taylor's Hope Foundation, which helps create memorable experiences for chemotherapy patients. Join the Better Days family and follow them, Better Days Co. _LI, and visit to make your purchase and learn more about their mission statements. Definitely check them out, and they got great merch. It's mostly kind of like roller hockey merch and golf merch and everything, so definitely check them out, and huge shout out to them. So, Ant, let's get into it. First, what happened to your eye?
First, before that, sick ad read, honestly. Like, that was flawless. I gotta give you.
You think that was good?
Yeah, I thought it was great.
I stretched out for it. Yeah, if you get well, didn't see if you're watching the video version, came in and stretched out for that.
You got warmies. You got warmies.
I do gotta say, not only is this such a sick brand and foundation, what it's about, I think that's really cool. You know, it's not something that's just like, obviously it's a brand, but they're also giving back. And he also battled, beat cancer, brain cancer. So huge shout out to him, and such a cool thing. So thank you, Better Days, and Dom, believe it in us, as well too. So for a sponsor of the podcast.
I mean, everyone knows someone who's been affected by cancer. So even if you don't know Dom, you can relate it in some way, and it goes to help such a great cause. So once you told me what it was about, it was like unbelievable. So
yeah,
they do have not to mention they got sick gear, right? They got some sick stuff. So
yeah, Better Days li.com. You can check out their website.
Awesome. So the eye didn't even play tours and somehow got injured. I'll start off by saying that. Played my men's league game last night, playing my one team that he's actually the goalie for. Guy like kind of had me pinned against the boards, and I was like kind of falling, and he hit me again, and my face hit the top of the dasher. And I was like, I went down, I was like what happened?
Your eye hit that dasher, like
right here. So I got a nice bruise. Told Kimmy I got hit by the car door, and right here. So I'm just kidding. That's just like a typical thing.
Does she think you wear a cage, or does she think you're?
No, she knows I wear a visor. I might start wearing a cage when I play that team at least. So, but he's my boy. He said sorry. He didn't mean to do it, but just sucks. Came first game back since like having the kid. Got buried into the boards and busted my eye up. So
it's never fun. All right, well, I think we should get into some TORHS talk, TORHS Pro talk. That championship game was unreal. And I, first to start it off, I don't think anybody thought Carshield was going to pull it off and win going into Sunday. Sunday's a different story, teams just play different Sunday. But going into Sunday, I don't think Carshield was the favorite at all. They were the 5th seed.
Yeah, they had a super interesting round robin. I'm sure we'll, kind of break into the whole round robin in general, but they had a really interesting round robin, not typical for them, where like they kind of had some adversity, but I think in the end, the adversity wound up benefiting them more, especially in the semifinal game. And when we break it all down, we'll kind of go through it. But Carshield rematch of last year, and Carshield was the one that came out the victor this time. So it was a sick game though to go into like OT and everything. Like we haven't seen that in a while, I feel like.
And it went late into the first OT. And that game was a back and forth game. That game was just going back and forth, and it was a great peer roller game. I know we say that a lot about championship games, but it really was. It wasn't like one team was sitting behind the net or anything. It was attacking and going after. Both goaltenders absolutely played unbelievable. Redmond stole the show in the overtime. He just made probably three to four saves that were just like game winning saves, that really turned the tide for them. Huge shout out to Charlie Robinson, friend of the pod. Unbelievable job. I mean, he stood on his head coming in, Keith Johnson. And I was kind of say, they do play the similar style. So I feel
Yeah.
like that kind of, nothing really changed for the Roadrunners. Obviously they made it back to the championship. So unbelievable game by both of them. But, Carshield, there's a reason why they picked up Speezy and Kyle. And I guess that showed on Sunday.
Yeah, I mean, so to start with like Charlie Robinson, like good on the Roadrunners for like you don't have Keith for this tournament. You need someone who can backstop just like Keith can. And you mentioned in the last podcast, they have a very similar style with covering the bottom of the net very well. And Charlie came in, fit like a glove. He had a 6 semifinal game too at the end, especially like Rage Cats got a couple back and start pushing. So shout out to him. And then anytime you go toe to toe with Reds, like you played well, right? Like at the end of the day, if you get overtime with Reds, you played a good game. And it was awesome to see like a goaltending battle, but yet there was still decent amount of goals in the game. You know what I mean? So like they both made unreal saves, especially in OT. Reds had like 3 saves back to back to back that were nasty. But yeah, it was like you said in the beginning, it was like such a sick final. Like I had guys at my rink, like 20, 30 guys at the rink just watching this, and they're all just like Sunday leaguers. You know what I mean? Like, and they were all engaged with it. So it was awesome to see.
Yeah, I think one sick thing to see is Pat Maroon fits so well with that team too. Like it's such a weird fit with the Roadrunners, right? Like,
Yeah.
why would you think that he would fit in so well, but he does? These guys aren't pure ice guys. They aren't like his style. It's not like, they're pure roller players. And I know
Yeah.
Pat grew up playing roller, and maybe that's really where it comes in and how he really fits in so well. But dude, he meshes in so well. It's like, yeah, he played for Mars Blade. He played great. He looks like he should be on the Roadrunners every single tournament just because how well he
Yeah.
played. And the boys love him. And shout out to the Roadrunners making it back. I really thought, um, Frankie Melton had himself a tournament. He's a goal
Yeah.
scorer. Max looked like a stud out there. I mean, the way he skates, he can move up that rink. It's pretty crazy. Kind of reminds me of like Peter Forsberg in a way. But he
Yeah.
moves up that
Patient.
rink. Yeah, very patient. But that championship game was unreal. But let's get into the round. Like, let's get into the round robin and get into this tournament. Okay. So going into the tournament, we interviewed everybody, and me and you kind of, we talked about who we thought we were gonna do good and like your bottom 3, top 6, right? Uh, I was completely wrong on the 6. I think we all had Black Ice, Roadrunners, Rage Cats, Carshield, and the Wings making it. The 6th spot was up in the air between Propel, Epic Blood and Feathers, and Black Ice 2.0. Looking at the rosters, just pure the rosters, I think we all had our different thoughts on it,
Yeah.
A lot of people really thought Propel Ringster just because they're I wouldn't say the more veteran, but they do definitely have, the
They
ice.
had a good year last year too. They had a decent year last year, like playing close games, but losing them, but playing close
Yeah.
games.
I think them and the Epic Blood and Feathers are probably the favorites just because of the pro experience and the guys they have on there. But that first game, Blood and Feathers, Carshield, that it was like, okay, yeah, I think Blood and Feathers might be, they're probably gonna sneak in there, play them unbelievable.
100% thought same thing.
And it's to think about, like, did they play them unbelievable, or did Carshield have just that bad of a round robin? The Blood and Feathers, Nicky Whiteock played absolutely unreal, unreal.
Kudos to him. That was a sick game by him.
Yeah, kudos to him. Shout out to our boys from from Colorado. They played unreal too for the La Beta Blood and Feathers. What a mouthful. But that first game was just like, it really set the tone for the whole tournament, and it was such an awkward tournament from there, with every game like either a shootout or whatnot. So the round robin definitely didn't reflect how the playoffs went.
Yeah, the round robin was weird because day 1, a lot of close games. Day 2, you started to see the more veteran teams kind of find their groove and like start kind of beating up on some of the teams that aren't expected to make playoffs. But like you said, like from the first game, the first 2 games, that second game of the round robin, which kind of sucks in a way, like determined who made playoffs, really, because chemistry beat Propel in that game. If Propel beats chemistry, they have 4 points, right? And they're in playoffs and they're in that position. But chemistry won that game. And we knew that second game, and even, with like Unified Conics Black Ice, like 2.0, maybe them stealing a point here or there, you knew that was going to be occupied by pretty much a 1-3 team, right? At that point. And with the Blood and Feathers playing Carshield to a shootout, you're like, interesting. If they win another game, they have 4 points. They're pretty much guaranteed a spot. And it actually came down to the last game. So it's funny that the second game clinched that 6th spot, and the last game could have, or one of the last games with Blood and Feathers against Envious could have changed that last spot. So it was interesting, that whole lull in the middle, like you said, like of kind of weird games, honestly. Like, there's a lot of close games, and then there was a lot of blowouts. So
you kind of look at like Carshield, just look at the blog he wrote, it really just looked like Carshield could not find their groove together. Sunday, completely different story. They found it and they were just unstoppable. Looking at the round robin, probably the best team going into playoffs would be Black Ice, without a doubt. Black Ice was just, they were on an absolute tear, going 26 goals for, 2 goals against. KJ, KJ looked like KJ prime KJ, and he looked unbelievable. 2 hatties, 7 goals. And even Chavo and DiMartino, I believe those 3 led the points. So, they looked unbeatable. But is it to say that schedule strength, does that play a factor? They didn't really play like, like the Carshield, the Rage Cats, Roadrunners, one of the top teams. Roadrunners got to play the Rage Cats in the round robin, which might have been a huge help. So
Carshield played Envious, and Black Ice did play Envious too, but Envious, that game was kind of like they were in already, right? They knew they were in, kind of like whatever game. And I actually wrote about this in the blog that's coming out. I think that hurts them because they didn't have any kind of adversity during round robin. And what's funny is that Black Ice in tournaments generally has some sort of adversity. Like they have a game where even if they win, it was too close for comfort and not up to their standards, right? They usually have one of those games. They really didn't have that in this round robin. They kind of dominated people, to be honest. And like the roster, obviously was nasty, but Carshield had the adversity, and then it wound up kind of benefiting them in the semifinals, right? So it's like, it's funny, like you said, Carshield, you didn't expect that out of them, to have such like a weird round robin where they weren't just killing people, because usually they do. I mean, I've been on the other side, so
they struggled. They had 3 shootouts, 1 loss to the Envious Wings. Yeah, now I'm talking about it. Black Ice had the top 4 points. Chavo, DiMartino, KJ, and Crafty, and then Rage Cats. So, one team that I did not surprise me just because I know that they're nasty, but they're scary, is the Rage Cats. They're young. They're a young team. Jack O'Hannison, he's scary to watch out for in the Pro Division.
he fucking scores.
He
That's all he does is fucking score.
And Aaron Gettings definitely played huge as Lane Hartwell was out. So I think that was huge for them. But Rage Cats definitely one of the funner teams to watch, I would say. They're a really interesting team, just because they're young, and you can tell they're gonna do some damage in the Pro Division. They are right now, but I'm talking about like winning, pro titles. But it's just a matter of time.
Yeah, they're adding too. Like when we talked to Height previous to the tournament, we're talking about adding a guy like Kai, right? Adding Brian Gibbs, who like he's been around the game for a while, but he's a new face into that team. And I thought he looked awesome. Like not a guy who's going to get you a ton of points, but like dominated the possession side of things, played the way that they played with it, which is huge. Because we were talking to Height about like, who do you bring in? How do you bring them in? Do you talk to people? They were definitely a fun team to watch. And that kid O'Hannison he just scores, man. It's like ridiculous. Like
Crazy,
in that semifinal game, it was basically Glover and him putting the team on their back, like trying to claw them back into the game. So yeah, they were a sick team to watch. I
think the Roadrunners, just that experience takes over in that aspect. You know what I mean? And it's you can tell the Rage Cats are going to be there. They are there. It's just like a matter of time.
Yeah, the Roadrunners definitely just had that. Like we were here last year. We kind of went through what you guys went through last year, and we're a year ahead of you. And Rage Cats, and it's one of those things too. Like you'll add a piece here and there, and that might be that piece that gets you over the hump. Like we talked to we were talking to Cost and Fiala, they added Fiala and that got them over the hump at some point, right? So you can always add pieces to what you have as a core. And just like Height was saying, like they have their core and they bring in pieces that they feel they need that are going to help them overall. So definitely a fun team to watch. I thought the Roadrunners, though they went 4-0, had like kind of a weird round robin too. You've always seen them kind of dominate. They still got the second seed, so like no harm, no foul. 4-0 still like +8, but you usually see them be a little more offensive. And they had a couple close games in round robin too. Maybe it was the jersey curse. I don't know. They didn't have their jerseys. They didn't have their threads.
Yeah.
But you know,
But that is a weird thing. Like, we gotta
let's
talk
talk.
about that.
Yeah, we gotta talk about it. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So I had a conspiracy. So one, don't you just bring like I don't know. You just bring your jerseys, right? Just in case, like
If you're a player, you're saying like you should just bring your extra.
Well, no, not as a player, just because I'm sure like Vio does not like have them like wearing, like
I guess he keeps them.
you know what I mean? He probably keeps them, okay? I would bring that set, a black set or something just in case, right? Because if you're having them there, I don't know, just me, okay? I think Trefty just was like, no, and I mean, I already talked to Trefty about this little roller conspiracy. I think Trefty's like,
I'm with you.
yeah, Trefty's like, don't worry about it. I got you. Trefty knew Pat Maroon was playing.
Jerseys throwing up pictures on Instagram.
Yeah, throwing up pictures.
Tidal wave.
He's wearing a Tidal Wave jersey all of a sudden. So I told him, I was like, hey, you have the jerseys. You just want a picture of Pat Maroon wearing a Tidal Wave jersey to throw on Instagram.
They're under his hotel bed.
Sure enough, next day it happens. And then the Roadrunners are in Roadrunners jerseys. Granted, they're the girls' jerseys. Those girls' jerseys, I don't know.
I gotta like them.
I like them. They're nasty.
But here's the thing. So even the women's jerseys are identical to the men's, besides it's like kind of like a lime green versus like that.
The girls are a lot smaller than the guys, and those jerseys are huge.
And I was like, but I was just saying, like, you didn't have, like you're saying, you didn't have one extra Roadrunners jersey to match. Like, I don't know. Maybe there's a conspiracy behind it. Well, like, someone had to have a Roadrunners jersey on them that looked identical, if not, as similar as it can get to the women's jerseys. Yeah. That's all I'm saying.
We're just going to have to investigate this a little more, Trefty.
Yeah, we're going to have to interrogate Trefty.
Yeah, RDN investigates. All right, well, since we're talking about jerseys, let's talk about the hottest jerseys at the tournament. I think there was Rage Cat still had the same jerseys. We didn't get to see the new Roadrunners jerseys. We saw the women's jerseys, I guess you could say.
True.
And some Flash Tidal Wave. Unify had some nasty new jerseys. Propel, Black Ice 2.0, Lebeda Blood and Feathers.
Yeah.
So give me your top three. In no particular order.
No particular order. And this is like, considering the fact that we didn't get to see the Roadrunners jerseys, which like they usually have pretty decent jerseys. I'm a big green and white fan, go Birds, obviously. But I like the Unify, the 2.0 jerseys. I like the white version of them. I just want to throw a disclaimer in there. I love the white version of those. I thought Connex, because they had like the matte black helmets and the matching gloves, like the whole get up, you have to throw them in there.
The
Black ice, yep. And then
I was Connex. People aren't going to know.
I was going to get there. Unified Connex Black Ice. Four word name. It's tough, but and then Rage Cats. I think I would still put them as number one because I love the baby blue. I just think it's so clean. And they have 3 sets, and they have the gloves. All white buckets. Yeah, the whole thing. Like that. I think they still have the best jerseys, like as it stands, in the baby blue specifically.
Yeah, I think I would definitely go with the Unified Black Ice. I like the black set. I think the black set are my favorite just because of the black helmets. The silver is nasty too. Rage Cats for sure. Rage Cats, they have just the 3 sets, and they have the helmets, they have the gloves, everything matches perfect. And the 3 sets are different color tones of the jersey and different logos, which is sick too. So, and then the last one, this is, I do like that Black Ice 2.0 jerseys. Those are sick. Shout out to Miranda Lemus and Heatwave Graphics. They helped design those, made by Unify. So I don't know, like the wings, the more I looked at the dark ones, I did kind of like it. It kind of looked like
dark ones were good.
Yeah, but if I played devil's advocate, I think I'd just go with those wings ones. I mean, the epic button feathers weren't bad.
The grays are nice.
Yeah, they're sick.
The grays are nice.
Yeah. So yeah, that's my
Yeah,
top.
I would like to see Carshield get some new ones. Like they have a cool
Yeah.
color scheme too. Like with the blue and black.
Are
It's
they the richest like
yeah, and they have the like
sponsor?
yeah, like I feel like they should have some new threads. Like they got guys like
This one, Papa Pro,
wearing
they
number 38.
yeah.
Like what's going on? Like
Todd
get some
wore
new
different
threads.
for that tournament. I'm pretty sure we're like 60 and 6. Like the darks he would wear 60, and then like the blues he'd wear 6.
Okay,
So
interesting.
yeah. But
But
yeah, so I think we sent it over the interview.
yeah, I mean, it was I'll just say like, we had you had written like a really nice good pod about the championship game. We have another one coming out that's going to be more encompassing of the whole tournament that you and I are going to collaborate on, which is going to be sick. And like it sucked being home, but it was cool with shout out to Dan Dolan helping us.
I
Like
know.
making us feel 2.0, making us feel like we were there, which is cool. Like I feel like it was different for the first time. This is the first time I've been to tours in 5 years. So it was like, kind of sucked in a way, but it was cool that we were still able to engage in it, live stream, have watching all the games. I was kind of glued to my office with, little Dom watching some roller. And you and I were like literally chit-chatting the whole time. Bateman, we had a group chat going on. We had the fantasy, which we should mention. Like Bates
Yeah,
won the fantasy.
yeah, Bateman won the fantasy.
Yeah, the little DraftKings style fantasy. Pick your team. Bates kind of got, I mean, with KJ,
He
Chinny,
had a lot of the black
and
ice guys, and
yeah,
we had some bonuses. So we had a performance bonus. If you got a hat trick, you got a performance bonus.
and
Well,
shutouts with
and
Chinny, he hit
shutouts.
two. So
Yeah,
yeah, so
he's like
hey, Bates was smart. He kind of played it off in the draft too,
he
but
had
yeah,
the pick, which was a nice pick.
yeah. So but it was awesome just finally watch some pro roller
Yeah,
and kind of sit back and again go rewatch some games. There was some great one. Envious first Car Shield shootout. That would be my recommendation. Let's just do that. Did you have a favorite game? That was my favorite game of the tournament besides the
championship
championship.
game.
Yeah, championship. Yeah.
I was on my seat freaking out. I was like, this was insane. I
Yeah.
was just, I didn't know who was gonna win, obviously. I think my favorite game in the round robin would probably have been the Carshield Envious game. That game was
Yeah.
sick to
I think the
watch.
game was sick.
That game was just back and forth. Rage Cats Roadrunners was a sick
That
play.
was a good game too.
I
Yeah.
think the Rage Cats Roadrunners was my favorite game in the playoffs. Other than the
The
championship, like,
semifinal. Yeah, the
yeah, that was
semifinal game was
sick to
sick.
watch. Yeah.
Yeah, that was a sick game.
So, all right, boys. Well, we got a great interview for you guys. So I hope you guys like this one. Long time coming. And yeah, send it over the interview.
Yeah.
You're good, Anth.
All right, everyone. Welcome back to the RDN Roller Show. We're continuing our conversation around TORHS Nationals 2024. We have an unreal guest on the pod today. We are super excited we were able to grab him. I think, in my opinion, the star of the entire tournament, quite honestly, especially the championship game, which we're going to touch on in a little bit. We have Troy Redmond in the house. My man has been in the game for as long as I can remember, since I got into roller, and being a goalie when I first started out was someone I looked up to, his style, just his poise and everything like that. So without further ado, Reds, congratulations on the big TORHS championship win. How are you feeling today? Basically a week later, after your TORHS championship?
It feels great. Yeah, obviously kind of kicking things off to start the year. Well, I guess we played winners, but to kick off the summer and, kind of pull it out the way that we did was, it was pretty awesome, to be honest.
Awesome. And kind of keeping it on tours. This is one of the best pro finals that we've seen in quite some time. You guys had like a little bit of adversity, I guess you would say, in round robin with the 3 shootouts and everything like that. Kind of jumping right into it. Was there like any time during the round robin that you, your teammates, George, anybody was like starting to get frustrated with just how things were going during that round robin?
Yeah, I'll be honest. I've never had a round robin that was even close to kind of what we dealt with there. I think it always kind of creeps in your mind a little bit. You're kind of like, what's going on here. But honestly, I just felt like as long as we make the playoffs, I feel all right. Which is kind of a weird feeling to think, like, if we make the playoffs, like, it didn't really, we didn't start out great, obviously. But sometimes it's the way it goes, right? Like I told Garrett Ross, like after the second game, I was kind of like, sometimes it's good to get slapped in the face and kind of wake up a little bit. And obviously it worked.
Going into the playoffs, I believe you guys were the 5th seed. Do you think that, I guess helped you, like you were just saying, like, slapped you in the face? You guys, got woken up because you had a harder road to the championship, than you could say like the road runners having to play black ice right off or in the semis.
Yeah, I mean, for sure. I mean, I felt like after the day one, day two became kind of one of those things where it's like, they might as well be elimination games from here on out. And
yeah.
So, yeah, it was just, I don't know. I think our team and I and most people play better when, you have that feeling like we got to get it done. We got to wake up. And yeah, I mean, it was good. Like, I think I told Rosser too, same thing. I was just like, man, it's not going to get easier once you start winning. It only gets harder. You're going to get the best from all these teams. They're going to be defensively responsible. We're not going to just go out and light teams up because they're just not going to allow it. You know what I mean? Like if they give us the chances, we're going to roast them. But yeah, I mean, it's a different game now, right? Like you have to be a little more patient, and we have to be more on our game in general.
Yeah, I think you said something, hit the nail on the head, is that you're getting every team's best game, right? Because obviously with just looking at the roster in general, when teams are playing against you, they know that every mistake is most likely going to end up in the back of the net. And you're not going to get a lot of chances against all the forwards and D that you guys have. And then, you get past all these forwards and D and you got you backstopping them. It's like, with that being said, like it's just hard for, hard for you guys. It looked like it was hard for you guys in that round robin. And then eventually, boom, it just clicked for you guys on that day too, I think a little bit.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I just think we have to be comfortable playing games that are maybe lower scoring in general, and just know that if we're in the game, I feel like we're always going to be able to maybe pull it out. We'll find ways to win. We just can't let games get away from us,
Do you going into shootouts? I don't think any team likes to go to a shootout just because you're not winning in regulation. Do you get a little amped up going into a shootout as a goalie? Does that kind of, or you're like, let's just get this over with, or do you like thrive in that kind of pressure?
I mean, the pressure doesn't bother me, but I mean, I don't personally like shootouts.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I'm okay with it, but I haven't been in a whole lot of shootouts in roller hockey. I was laughing when we went the first 3 games in a row in shootouts. I'm just going, this is hilarious.
Yeah, it's weird, especially in roller hockey, when you kind of have more of a goal scoring, game than ice, I guess you could say. So, it definitely is weird. In that championship game, you made like, I can't even count how many different saves you made, especially in OT. When you were, you anticipate plays so well. Is there, something that you like contribute to, or like, how do you anticipate these plays so well? Is it just being positionally sound, or can you walk us through, those save sequences?
Honestly, I don't really know if there's like I can't really pinpoint why, but I felt like that's always been probably my strongest part of my game. I feel like I've always seen the play develop really well. I feel like I'm always very aware of where guys are at and where the puck's going to go. And yeah, I mean, that's it. It's just kind of being aware of what's developing, and just, I mean, if you're not anticipating what's about to happen, you're late.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's really it. I mean, it's just that, and I mean, this is my 20th year playing in the pro division. I feel like I know majority of the guys in the pro division extremely well. You know, and even if say maybe I have like an off game or something, I can make adjustments.
Yeah, it's just crazy to see when you make these saves. Some goaltenders, when they're getting back over, they'll make like a blocker save, barely get on it. You're squared up to the puck in the chest, and it's just it's very positionally sound you are. Like Anth was saying in the in the intro, like watching you growing up, like you could just tell like you're very calm and poised, and maybe that is just playing in the pro division, but you're square on that puck when you're going on like a 1T, and that's like most goalies are getting a blocker on it. So it's just crazy to see.
Well, I'm not the most flexible goalie, so I need to get there.
Yeah.
20 years of roller goalie will do that to you. The hips don't feel the greatest, and you don't use like. Do you use like any kind of slider or anything, or you just kind of play naked with the pads? Right? You don't have like any kind of plastic on there.
No, I do. I had the mission slides for the longest time,
Right?
And they stopped making them. So then I switched over to Bauer, which is very similar pad, but I put on just some slide tape. It just cuts down friction. Yeah.
Yeah, and helps the hips a little bit, helps the knees a little bit when you're trying to get side to side. Do you think like with all the goaltending coaching you do you teach that to your goalies as well? Like try to like give them a little advice on like, hey, try to read the play, try to anticipate the play as much as possible because it's going to make your save selection a lot easier.
Oh yeah. I mean, definitely. I mean, and I'm always like encouraging the guys to just watch hockey in general. I mean, I've always loved hockey. I've continually watched it my whole life. I do I'll rewatch all the games and see like what happened. You know, if I'm getting scored on, go back and look at it. And why did that happen? What could I have done better? I mean, typically it's quick for me. Like in a game, like if something happens in a game, I can immediately be like, all right, could have done something a little better there.
Talking about rewatching games, you have Narch coming up in a couple of weeks. It's in your backyard. What does it mean to you to play there with, you get to have some of the kids that you do coach get to watch you too. Maybe family and friends are there too. What does it mean to be able to play, in one of the biggest tournaments in the world, Narch, in your backyard too?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, that's probably the biggest thing for the Narch is there's just a lot of goalies that I work with that'll be there to watch and kind of, they get an opportunity to see their coach play. And I think it goes a long way, when they see that you can do it. So maybe, the stuff that we're teaching, it makes sense.
Yeah. It'll resonate more. And I can't remember the one kid's name, but I remember watching him. I think he played pro last year. It might've been in winners for like the first one. And you could just tell
Luke Massey.
Yeah. Yeah, I could just tell watching him, like, yeah, he's trained by Reds. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I could just tell by the style and everything like that. And it's cool that you have that there and you have such a good following there, and these kids can watch it because it's hard to explain to a kid sometimes, like, hey, do this when they've never seen you do it, right? And the fact that they get to watch you at these tournaments do it at the highest levels, even better. It's not like you're just jumping in a men's silver game and saying, hey, do this when the guy really isn't the top level player, right? So one quick thing that like I noticed with goaltending is like when you go from like the big ice hockey rinks, the NHL size rinks, to the more traditional size roller rinks like Irvine, it kind of can mess with your angles a little bit. Do you feel you have to adjust when you go back to Irvine, or because you've played at Irvine so much, you're just like, it's just like tying your shoes at that point?
I mean, I'll be honest, Irvine rink feels like a normal rink. That's a pretty good size rink. I think where it gets a little different is maybe like at Worlds when we get on those smaller rinks with those smaller nets. I feel like that's where maybe it's a little bit different. Like when we used to play double IHF on the Olympic size rinks, it didn't bother me at all. I think it screwed up the shooters more than anything because a shot that usually would have been in a good area probably feels like a mile, out for me. So, I think like the smaller rinks make a bigger difference. I really like Irvine. I played there forever. That's a great cheat for sure.
Yeah, I think that's like I would just say like the perfect roller rink, it's just perfect size, perfect atmosphere, everything. Like I said, Narch is coming up. Are you the type of guy that looks at the schedule right when it comes out? Or are you kind of, you've been playing in the pro division. You're like, hey, I'll look at it 2 days before and I'm ready to go.
I mean, yeah, I always take a look at it, see who we're playing. Sometimes I don't really even know who these teams are. Like, I know the top teams, like going into tours, I didn't know who was on Propel. I didn't know who that was. I had no idea, like, who's on Blood and Feathers. I know of them, but not familiar with them. Pretty much just kind of circling, certain games where I'm like, okay, that's going to be a tough one. That'll be a good game. Like, aware of the teams that, okay, we need to get up for that one.
And I want to just ask you a kind of quick question with this one. Like, you have Stavi as your partner in the net. What's it like? What's it like being a goaltender partner with him? Like, it's got to be a trip, right? He's got to be a guy, like, I feel like at every period he's always coming over and talking to you, right? Like, probably just pumping your tires. Is it just like a wild experience being around him all the time in all these tournaments?
I love Stavi. I feel like I've known him forever.
Yeah.
And I think everybody feels like that. He's just a guy that he feels like family. It's bizarre, but he's awesome. Like, probably the perfect goalie partner, backup, whatever you want to call it. Yeah, he's great. I think he knows I'm going to play whenever I want to play. And I've also, like, ever since I started playing on the team, I constantly have been giving Stavi games. And last year, it absolutely paid off for us at Palma Pro because he didn't just all of a sudden come in having, never played any games. Like, I always give him a game at least, and even at TORHS this year, like game 3, I had a feeling that Propel team was not a bad team, but I was looking at it going, we're going to have to play this quarterfinal game tonight. I would rather play the second game and instead of the first game, and then have to sit around the whole day going into the last game. So for me, I was like, I don't even care that this Propel team is probably the better team out of our next 2 games. I was just like, Stavi, you got it. Like, it's all yours. Like, and he does what he usually does. He comes in and gets it done for us, stops the shootout. And yeah, I mean, he's earned my respect for sure.
When you guys were, last year at Palma, going into that championship game, is there anything like, any advice he asked you or anything maybe like, you told him? That's just like, that was one of the coolest, other than you guys have had a lot of fun games to watch, but that game was a high scoring game. But I mean, I would say you guys pretty much dominated the game. Is there anything that, any advice you gave to him?
Not really. Just kind of was just like, Stavi, play your game, play with swagger, do your thing, play loose. And I mean, he does. He plays with swagger. And I think that, and the guys want to play for him too, right? Like, that's a big part of being a goalie. Like, your team has to want to play for you. And I don't know if there's a guy that a team would want to play for more, right? Like, you just love the guy. You want to compete for him. And I'll be honest, when I got hurt last year, I still thought we were going to win.
That's good.
That's awesome. That's like, yeah. That you love that confidence, and talking about this Carshield team, is there a particular player on this team that kind of is like the, I guess, leading the charge in the locker room, kind of like, the rowdy one, getting the boys together?
I mean, like, Garrett Ross is huge for us. Like, just really good player, leader on the team for sure. Does it by example. And again, another guy just has a lot of swagger to his game. Corey Hodge does a great job. Me and him have we talk a lot about, like, what we should be doing, and usually kind of bounce ideas off one another. Like, what do you think about this? And let's do that. And, like, I'll usually talk before games and kind of key in on what I see and what we can do. And we made some adjustments for sure this last tournament too. And I mean, we did it. Like, we went out and we made adjustments, and yeah, I mean, the team's great. Like it's a team by committee. Like we have some really, really superstar players, but I think the biggest difference for us is that we have all the role players that we need to complement our top players. Like, and I'll just go out and say it right now. Like Matt Berry is by far, I mean, for me, he might be like, I think he's underrated, but he shouldn't be. He's probably maybe the best player as far as like a game changer. He's been unbelievable since I've been on this team.
You see him in playoffs, like he just took over. We just do our little RDN fantasy thing just for fun, collecting points. And I had him on my team, and I was like, you know what? He's a gamer though. We didn't do playoffs. Best player, I would say in the playoffs, you stole the show in the championship game. Man, he had goal after goal in those playoffs, and it's just so huge for your team. And he shouldn't be underrated at all, but for some reason he is overlooked.
And he does it every time too. Like it's ever since I played with these guys, you can always count on him for big goals when we need it.
Yeah, I think it's because he's underrated, we'll call it, because he's got like that quiet demeanor about him. He's not a guy that's like, screaming on the rink. He's always just like even keel, I feel like. And I think that's huge because it just shows you what a pro he is, right? Like with his ice hockey background as well. And I think, with your whole team, how many tons of guys that played pro ice, right? Like they have that just like demeanor about them that you guys carry into games. And I think it makes it a pain for teams when they come against you. Like, man, we got these guys, they never really, and even during the round robin when you guys were facing adversity, you guys never really seemed frustrated. I think maybe, there was one game, but after that, you guys seemed to just like, hey, like you said, we knew we were going to get to playoffs. It was just a matter of how we're going to get to playoffs. And if we have to face that adversity, and I wrote about it in our blog, like I think that benefited you, right? I think that wound up being one of those kind of X factors that helped you guys in the playoffs, because playoffs are always a toss up, right? Everyone's coming out to 110%. And I think it really did help you guys in the long run. One thing you had mentioned, just, going back to this is like, the Team USA and the international experience, and things like that. So going back to your time with Team USA, one of the things that I specifically remember watching you guys at was your training camp in Colorado. Was that like one of the coolest, like, USA experiences you got to have, aside from like the whole international play? Because they don't do that anymore. And I thought that was like one of the sickest things we ever got to see from like a roller fan.
Yeah, it was tough. Yeah, I'll be honest with you. Those camps were super tough. Like an absolute grind. I felt like I played like a full tournament before I even went, overseas. It was nothing easy about it. You're basically playing in altitude and playing multiple games a day, and that altitude just kicked my butt every time. But yeah, that was fun. And you got all the guys there, right? And they're all competing to be on the team. So it's not just like, hey, we're here to get warm. Like you're basically there, like, and just competing as hard as you can, which it's pretty sweet because you very rarely get an opportunity to do that with all the top guys.
Yeah, it was. I'm from Colorado, live here. Got to watch, I think, a couple of those, and they were like, it was just so cool to watch, and it was very like nonchalant. I don't think like they very announced much of it, but there'd be an Ironman tournament going on, and then we're like, what is all this going on over here? And it was cool because you can even see the stuff on YouTube still, and you can see how much of like a grind it is. And you correct me if I'm wrong. You guys like flew straight from Colorado to like where you guys would go play, correct?
Yeah. It would be it would be 2 days of camp and then like 2 days of practice afterwards, after you made the team. And then you would fly over there. So it would end up being like 14 to sometimes like 17 days from the day you get to Colorado.
Yeah, what's different about a lot of the international events for people to understand is that you don't play two games a day generally, like unless there's some sort of scheduling conflict, which Double Eyes, I feel like never really had that, but with the World Skate event, sometimes it does happen. So you're right. That is an absolute grind. You're going, from a whole training camp to practice and then traveling. I mean, that's as good as it gets though, in the long run. And I'm sure that does a lot for the team bonding too, since you guys are all together this entire time, a full like 2 weeks plus. And it goes to show because you guys had such success at that event.
Yeah. No, it was awesome. I missed it so much. Kind of maybe what kept me playing roller hockey kept me playing roller hockey, got me back into ice hockey. You know, it was basically like it was like playing pro. Like you basically you get treated top notch. Everything's taken care of. You're getting paid. You're getting decked out in swag. It's everything was first class. It was great. Like it really sucks that they don't have it anymore.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah, I think that's like one of the biggest thing, for roller missing into, intro to the Olympics with that, just because like you're talking about how professional they took it. You guys got certain pads sometimes, correct, for those tournaments for double I's? For
Yeah.
you and
Mission would get us custom pads for that stuff.
as a goalie, did you feel it like was it easy for you to convert into those pads to play in the game, or did you, take a game or two to get them, feeling comfortable?
They're the same pads that I was already using anyways, and they're a pretty soft pad, so that was never an issue. Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
Kind of talking about the pads too. One question I did have, you've been a Mission guy and a Bauer guy. Is there a certain pad model that has been your favorite that you've used over the years?
I love the Mission pads, and what I'm wearing right now it might as well be a Mission pad, but a better version because it's the pro level ice hockey pad. But I use the Vapors, and it's basically almost the same pad. It's a super soft pad, just flat face. Pretty much the strapping was basically the same as what the Mission was at the end. So yeah, that's why I just stuck with those Bauers, and it's really no different. Just doesn't have the sliders, which I wish they had. But yeah.
Yeah.
And you're going to be representing Team USA again in the fall. And has there been like a certain country in your time representing Team USA, certain country that you've visited that you've liked and played at, and B, kind of second part to it, like a certain country you love playing against?
Yeah, I really enjoyed going over to my favorite trips were Sweden, Finland, and Germany. I think Finland was probably by far my favorite. Really just a fun place to be. That they love hockey. The crowds were awesome. Germany was great. Sweden was very similar to Finland, but didn't have the crowds when we were there. But yeah, Finland, I always said it after we went to Finland. I'm like, they should just hold this championship here every.
Yeah,
Sorry, I don't know if you asked me another question there.
Yeah, I was just saying, like a team that you like playing against, like as far as the international scale goes.
I always like playing against Sweden, Finland, and obviously Czech. Czech's always been one of the best teams. But when I first started, Sweden was unbelievable. They were probably the best roller hockey team I'd ever seen play international to now. Like 2009, 2010, they were legitimately the best roller hockey team I've ever seen play.
Yeah, I feel like Sweden and Finland you were talking about, they were very dominant in the IIHF when they would play, and you can still watch the games today, and the rinks they're massive, they're huge, but it was so fun. It's so fun to watch them still because they were, like you're saying, so dominant.
Yeah.
When you were playing them, did you like to watch the different goaltenders from the different countries? I know they all kind of they just have their own different type of styles, but is that something that you do enjoy watching?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, the goalies over at the Worlds were usually really, really good. Like Frodel on Czech is unreal. He's probably the best goalie I've seen in roller hockey. Finland, I think it was Sasu Hovi or something like that. He was really good. And at one point, the goalie for Czech, Roman Handel, he was really good. That was always the biggest thing. I always felt like the goalies there were really, really good.
Yeah, they kind of inspired
goalies like on Slovakia, and some of the teams that were maybe not as good were good when just battling,
Yeah, I
I
feel
was
like
gonna say, like, a lot with those countries who aren't as, the top tier countries, those goalies are getting peppered with shots too, because especially in the international game, I know like with world skate events, the rinks are typically smaller to closer to what we play on here. But you get shots from everywhere in those games. And with those nets, I feel like you tend to see more shots in general on the world skate side of things with the international nets. You tend to see more shots because it's harder to score typically, right? As they say. But I think you hit the nail on the head. I think the Finnish goalie, I think it was the last year's of double eyes. That guy was unbelievable in that event, and it was sick to watch you guys kind of go back and forth and battle it out. And luckily, you guys were victorious, right? Being from the U.S., so we were happy about that. But it's cool to see how much you are a student of the game. Still, it seems like you still. I'm sure you still watch guys like Machinsky, right? You're still watching all these other goalies that are playing, and you still love it. You could just tell by how you're talking about it. Like you still want to learn as much as you can because you're still playing it at the highest level.
Yeah. Obviously, you just mentioned Chinny. I think he's arguably one of the best goalies in roller hockey for sure. Just a absolute gamer. Different style for sure, but just gets it done. Great guy too. Great teammate.
The best.
Have a lot of fun playing with him.
is there a young goaltender coming up? I know it's Luke Massey, correct? That is, I know he's an absolute stud. Is there a young goaltender coming up that that is going to be popping in the pro division that you coach that we should be looking out for?
Oh, you named him right there.
Yeah.
I Black Ice they wanted me to play with them for Narch this year. They weren't sure if Carshield was going to come. Carshield, obviously, we decided we were going to go. So I told them, hey, I'm not going to be able to play with you guys. But the first thing I said, I go, if Chinny can't make it, I go, I have a goalie for you. So I told him, yeah, this kid, Lucas Massey, if he was on a top team, he would be one of the top goalies in the division. I guarantee it.
Yeah, I think he's playing for like the Flying Pig. It was a weird team name, but he was gross. Like
the vegan pigs.
Yeah,
I think that's what it was.
Yeah, the team that he played with for his age, I forget what they're called.
Dangles.
Dangles, yeah, they're actually really, really good. I think that kid Trevor Connolly was maybe on his team. I don't know, but they got a bunch of good guys. They dominated their divisions for below pro. I've always felt like if Lucas had an opportunity to play on a good team, he would just jump right in.
There you go. Pro teams out there looking for an up and coming goalie. You just got gold from our man Reds here. So, and he really was nasty. And because when he played on that vegan pigs team, he was just getting peppered like left and right. And he never gave up. I thought that was the coolest thing is even if the game was getting out of hand, 4 or 5 goals out of hand, he never gave up. He continued to battle and work through it. And that's the sign of a good goalie is someone who competes and really just hates giving up goals. I hate goalies when they give up a goal, they're like, screw it, whatever. But he hated giving up goals, which is nice to see because you always saw after he gave up a goal, he made the next save 99% of the time. So that's awesome to say and awesome to hear you give him some shout out there.
Yeah.
One last thing, before we go, and I think we've already mentioned this, we're gonna do a part 2 as well, in person one, really to dive into your roller hockey career and your ice career. But can you tell us a little more about your goaltending school and the Reds goaltending and kind of what it is for people that might not know?
Yeah. So when I stopped playing ice in 2017, came back knowing that was what I was going to do, working with the goalies here. Reds goaltending, it's just basically working with all the goalies in this area. The majority of the goalies that I work with are a lot of them are the AAA goalies that are looking to move on and take that next step and whatnot, and just kind of it's one of those things where the goalies, it's extremely, how do I say, it's just very constant, right? Everybody's coming out every week. We have my schedule might as well just be the same every day. the goalies come out. There's consistency to it. I'm lucky that I work at a rink where I have the consistency to be there every week at the same days and same times. And yeah, it's just been a lot of fun. You know, obviously not playing ice anymore, and it's an opportunity to help these kids get to where they want to go. Like Lucas is one of them. I worked with him since he was 13 years old, and next season he's playing Division I ice hockey. So he's kind of like one of the first guys that I took on when I first came back that I'm seeing get to where he wants to be. And there's others, but yeah, that's it. Just helping these kids reach their potential.
That's awesome. Like, you worked with him since 13, like, and now you finally get to see him have that success and play Division I. Are you encouraging any of these kids to jump on roller as well? Because I know they're primarily ice goalies. Yeah.
All the time. All the time.
How are they taking to it though? Are a lot of them like
starting to see more of it? I constantly tell them, like, I always tell them, like, I always say, like, ice hockey is not going to make you a better roller hockey goalie. I go, but roller hockey will make you a better ice hockey goalie. If you can figure out how to play on roller, ice hockey is an easier game. It teaches you to play on your feet longer, to not give up your feet, to not want to just slide around, to not want to just stay down on your knees. It forces you, like we talked about earlier, to really work on your reads, because you can't get too out of position, right? You got to be able to get there. Yeah, it's just ice hockey always felt easy for me because of roller hockey. And I just felt like for a while, the goalies kind of maybe didn't want to play roller because they didn't like it or whatever. And I had a kid a year ago, this kid, Mason Olam. I was like, dude, you got to get into roller hockey. And he's like, I don't like it. I don't like it. I'm like, dude, I go, try it. I go, I'll get you on a team. And I hooked him up with John Seymour to play with Palma. He's like, all right, I'll play. Next weekend, he's like, I love roller.
That's awesome.
I think that has to do with the community too. I feel like there's a really cool community, especially like in place like Irvine. You just feel like the vibes are always just so good and so high. And it's funny because Rob and I swear to God, we had a conversation about this last week about how much roller can translate to your ice game. And it's hard to do the opposite, right? Because with roller, you know, I think most of the goalies get frustrated that they can't slide around, right? But like you said, staying on your feet, staying square, staying positionally sound, that's going to go so long for you in ice hockey. And I notice, like, now when I'm playing more roller goalie, when I go to play ice, I feel so much better. Rob's laughing at me because I was a goalie starting out, but it really, I think to your point, it really does help a lot more because it just doesn't go the other way, right? It's a completely different sport. So.
Yep. And I didn't know you were a goalie before. So now
I actually grew up playing goalie until juniors, and then I kind of just was like, just like every goalie, I feel like always wants to have a stint playing out, and then I just never went back. But I still play a little bit just in a house. So you got a big dub this morning, Rob. I know you're gonna laugh at that.
I was gonna say it was originally like a goalies pod because me, Dwyer, and you, we play goalie. So in and out. Yeah. So it's just funny. Anth, he'll play anything just to play hockey. So I always got to give him a little chirp.
Fit on every team, you know. That's just, you know, what I gotta do.
Love that.
But hey, we just want to say thank you again for joining the pod, going over, the TORHS, TORHS Pro breakdown. That was I would say an interesting, run to the championship. That playoff, it was just a different switch. You guys look like a totally different team, and it was really just fun to watch too. That championship game, top 3 games I've ever watched. It was so fun. And you got Narch coming up in a couple of weeks, so good luck to you and the boys there. And we'll be at Palma, so we'll be able to see you at Palma there, and hopefully we can do part 2.
Awesome. Yeah, no, I love it. Thanks for having me on. Appreciate it.
Yeah. All right, thanks, Reds.
Thank you, Reds.